The argument I want to make today is that technology is actually going to make us more human than ever before. It's going to help us build better and stronger relationships. So that's really the case I want to make. And to do that, I want to take you on a bit of a ride this morning. I want to show you exactly what this technology will mean for our lives and the way we work. So let's get into this. First of all, who am I? Just a few words about that. I have a small business called BD Insider, and what I do is, my job is to help you revolutionize your business. How to figure out technology, and I'm always very much focused on how we can make human connections through technology. So that's really the main theme. I help businesses through advisory. I help businesses by teaching them through training programs. I also do some external training programs, internal training programs, all those kind of things. I like to dive in to organizations and make them think out of that box. So enough about me. This is what's on our mind all the time increasingly. We all fear that technology is creating a distance between us. But in fact, the thing is, technology is actually human. It's more human than we give it credit for. We're tool builders. That's entirely in our nature. We've always built tools to get ahead. And we have to ask ourselves, why are we that creature on earth that innovates so much? Why are we that creature that really designs things and changes the paradigm around us? Well, first of all, I have the strong belief that anything we do, most of our developments, are because we have an inherent desire to connect with each other. We're a social creature. Well, not always. We don't always innovate for that purpose. But most of the time, the point I want to make right now is that most of the innovation that we do is because we seek connection. You can ask ourselves, why do we travel? Why did we invent the wheel? Why did we invent means to make it easier for us to travel? Why would we want to venture out of our comfort zone? Why? Well, why do we want to go further? Once we figured out how we can travel, why do we want to go across oceans unknowing what would be on the other side? Why would we have this appetite to explore? Why do we want to travel faster all the time and go far away? Why do we want to explore space? Well, it turns out that it seems to me that the only way that you can explain this, well, we rationalize it because we want to trade. But at the basis of trade lies that curiosity and that connection, right? So we also figured out, and this is where innovation really started kicking in, is when we can start communicating with each other, or connecting with each other indirectly. So we figured out how to leave messages for others to consume while we're not there. That was a massive leap in our evolution, and it didn't happen that long ago. We're speaking 5,000 to 6,000 years. And we figured out how to do this more efficiently. And we wanted to communicate with each other in real time. And then we wanted to do it all the time, with everybody at the same time. We wanted to see each other. And my presentation is stuck here, so... Oh, we want to sleep with each other. We use technology to try to sleep with each other. So am I making the case that we want to connect with each other? Yeah, innovation is about that. So technology essentially becomes entirely irresistible when it lets us connect with each other, right? Why does this matter? Why am I talking about this? Well, this is the way that we used to connect with our clients, right? We had this massive channel, one-way channel, and we just hoped that if we put the right words on a billboard, someone would understand what we were actually trying to tell them. So this is where we were. And it also sort of defined the way that we work. We have the B2C paradigm and the B2B paradigm, which is somewhat hampered through our communication channels because it was usually a one-way communication channel that we were forced to use. We divide up in B2B being a little bit more brainy and sophisticated and a little bit more institutional, and B2C was a lot more mass communication, right? But I want to challenge the fact that these two models are increasingly becoming obsolete because we all have a connection with each other today. We're a world of individual connections. Not only people to people, but people to tools, tools to tools, and tools to people. So increasingly, when you connect with a business, you don't really connect with institutions anymore. You increasingly connect with individuals in front of those institutions. That is now entirely possible. We have, as individuals, we have become more visible to the world, regardless of who we work for. And I find that quite interesting. So I want to welcome you to the B2H era, and that's business to human. Because business is personal more than ever before. Don't be fooled when someone says, sorry, it's only business, nothing personal. Business is personal. It always has been, but now it's more than ever before, thanks to this hyper connectivity that we have. I want to walk you through 4 megatrends that I think are entirely redefining today and the future, and it's going very fast. I want to walk you through, oops, I'm sorry about that, that slide turned out wrong, but not that aesthetic, but I want to start with virtual reality. I want to go to global connectivity, talk about big data and artificial intelligence. Those are 4 key drivers that are defining the way we live and work today. Let's start with virtual reality. Virtual reality raises a bunch of questions that you may not be asking yourselves enough, and I find them quite fascinating. Will we still need offices in 2025 when we virtualize everything? When we have the bandwidth to allow us to project ourselves anywhere, be together without being together, to have real experiences? I mean, it's a big question to ask. Will we need it when we can perfectly work together? I have clients that I've never met in my life before. I do strategic work for them, and I think I know them, and I think they know me quite well by now, and we've only met on a screen, and it works perfectly well. I find that fascinating. Will we still need our devices if we're going to virtualize everything? This is dematerialization. Will we need a phone, a keyboard, a screen, another screen? What happens when everything just pops up out of nothing in a virtual way and we can interact with it? What's going to happen to hardware? Another interesting question. Don't entirely have the answer for you, but they're interesting questions to ask. Will we still travel for business when we can seamlessly appear somewhere without being there? Will it be, I typically start my mornings with my clients in Asia, and I end my day with my clients in the US. And so, to me, basically I put a travel ban on myself. I drove from Brussels to Luxembourg because I'll do that, because I can drive my car around a little bit. I enjoy that. But the thing is, I basically find it extremely inefficient to travel out to do my business. I've actually figured out that if you know how to run a virtual meeting, it's actually far more efficient for everybody involved. But that's just me, maybe. Maybe I'm a bit too extreme in this. But I think we're going here. Will we travel for business? The Clinton Foundation has a bit of controversy right now, but they are pioneers in a sense. What the Clinton Foundation needs to do is they need people to give them money so they can put that to work in a good cause in Africa. And Bill Clinton was one of the first people to embrace virtual reality. What he figured out was, if I could just take the people to my projects and let them experience it virtually, they'll probably give me more money. And that's exactly, so if you go onto Facebook and you look for the Clinton Global Initiative, you can experience, well, you'll see it in 2D unless you have these goggles. You can be there in the project. It's a 360 camera work, and you can actually experience it, and you'll see him interacting, and you'll see what they're exactly doing. That is extremely innovative, and I think most of our businesses are going that way. It's about giving people the experience, really. So the point is that you're going to notice that I'm not really going to speak too much about the technology, but I'd like to speak about the implications of it. And it's really about, it's not about technology, it's how it changes the way we live and work. And this is a bit of a complex chart, but what I want to point out here is, and I'm not going to run you through this entire chart, the impact of virtual technology is going to change a lot of things that we're used to today. It's going to up the threshold for experiences that our customers want. It's going to cause a human migration. There are people who don't live a life that they exactly want to live, and they're going to be very compelled to edit their lives through a virtual reality experience. Virtual reality is going to be extremely addictive. It's going to influence the way we learn. It's going to have an impact on education. It's the way we can become more productive and how we can figure out, I don't know if you're familiar with the concept of flow, but you can induce yourself into a focus-only zone that you can work far more focused on certain things. So there's a gamification aspect to virtual reality. It's a huge game changer, and it's happening now, and it's coming very, very fast. What is your virtual reality strategy? Have you thought of one? Maybe you should start thinking about it. I know this is a strange question, but think about what's on the previous slide here, and think about how that affects your business. Moving on to global connectivity. Global connectivity is all about the biggest human migration that we've ever seen. So over the last 2 decades, we have moved more than 3 billion people into one source, which is amazing. A mobilization of 3 billion people in 2 decades is unheard of. Most of the mobilization really happened in the last 5 years. Thing is, this is going to continue. And we all like to think about the internet as being something American or European, but in fact, the internet really belongs to Asia. If you look at the numbers, almost half of the users are in Asia. So that's where those are the people that are essentially driving this connection economy. Look at Africa, how fast that's going. Some of you in the audience know that I have a fascination with Africa, but that is probably the fastest growing area on our planet. Expect that to be at 25% in the next 10 years or less. So, this is the world coming together. The thing is, another 3 to 4 billion people are going to come online in the next 5 years. That's crazy if you think about that kind of migration. It's enormous. We're going to have billions of new voices and minds among us, other cultures. It's going to become a very interesting world. Right now we can't always hear these people individually, but we will hear their voices, and we will have to figure out how their minds work. And they're also very young. So if you think if you're trying to figure out millennials today, wait a few years. It's going to be interesting. We have blockchain. I think we're going to talk about that today. Blockchain is the version 3.0 of the internet, in my opinion. It's a better version of the internet. I call it the infrastructure of certainty, because it's precisely built around an element of security, but also an element of efficiency. And again, this is not only going to allow the full integration of humans, but it's also going to bring trillions of devices into the same source. So we're going to have the techno-human future is about humans interacting with devices seamlessly without us even realizing it. It's a very terrifying or fascinating prospect depending on how you look at things. The global age groups. In this room, most of us, we care about that blue dot, and probably the one that age group of 45 to 64. Why? Well, they have the money to invest, and so effectively, in the end, everything we do is to the benefit of those people, but we might be missing out on an opportunity. I was glad to hear in the previous conversation they're speaking a lot about emerging markets in China. It's on the right track, because all those young people, the 46.2% and 26.1%, are predominantly in those new markets who are coming online. So meet your new customer. She can't imagine a world without having things at the touch of a finger on a screen, and it will become virtual. But her expectations are entirely different, and there's a lot of those people out there. So that's your new customer. And these are the influencers of today. So this is the bulk of what we have today. They're online, they're tightly connected, and we can't seem to figure out why they can't put their phones down, right? What is it with these people? Don't they have a life? Well, frankly, for them, this technology is the way that they can so efficiently satisfy that basic human urge of connecting with each other. So for them, a human connection through a virtual device is perfectly okay. It's perfectly normal. And it will be okay for her too. So this generation thinks it's entirely normal to make virtual connections, and there's going to be a lot more of them coming online. What does it mean, really? Well, again, it ranges from a fascinating cultural challenge that we're going to have. It's going to be about total transparency. There's going to be a lot of disintermediation going on. So again, it's not about the technology, it's about the impact of this technology. I hope you can find some time with your business to think those things through. Big data. Big data is a big buzzword of the day. It really means things. It's all devices connected. I'm sure you've heard about this very often. We're speaking about this increasingly. Every little thing that we manufacture has a connection. That means that it's the end of guessing. And this is very difficult, at least for my generation, is where you have to relinquish the idea that you're supposed to know things in favor of finding things out in real time immediately. It means that we don't have to brainstorm that much anymore because the information is there. It's about our capacity to absorb it, process it, and interpret it. It's the end of guessing. Eric Schmidt of Google said recently that the internet will soon disappear. He said that in the Davos conference. He didn't mean he's going to switch it off. It just means it's going to become invisible. Today we can still decide to log on or off of the internet. We can still have offline time. According to this man, and I listen to him when he speaks because after all, he drove Google to where it is today. His vision is that the internet is going to be something that's on. Even if you switch your phone off, all the other devices in the room around you are going to be figuring out what you're doing. It's kind of terrifying, isn't it? So we need to redefine intelligence. So intelligence is not about what you know, but how fast you can adapt to new information. That's what the new definition of intelligence is. So, competitive advantage. That's what you're going to get by this. If you know how to manipulate data, figure out data faster than the next, that's your competitive advantage. I put this picture up there because it's not only a game that I really like, but it comes down to centimeters or millimeters of being in the right spot at the right time and in full coordination. So again, we're going to have a lot of issues with this. Questions to ask: how are we going to prepare for the paralysis by analysis? How are we going to, how's it going to affect our business development, the decisions we make, the marketing strategies we develop, the products we develop, with full insight and intelligence. How do we make sense of all the data? Well, that takes us to artificial intelligence. Probably, it's my favorite topic of the four. It's the one that I'm most focused on. Artificial intelligence, first of all, I want to make the point that it is not human. We have created thousands or millions of different types of intelligence, ranging from very simplistic intelligence to increasingly complicated intelligence. But they're not human. The thing is, we like to attribute human factors. We like to anthropomorphize artificial intelligence, like we do with most things. Well, Space Odyssey 2001, Frankenstein, all those kind of stories, they had to put a human character into the artificial intelligence to make it an interesting story. Because there's no story without characters. So we've sort of been formatted in being afraid of artificial intelligence because we think it's as evil as we are. Now, we don't have a good track record as human beings of being benign, but artificial intelligence does not inherently have human traits. We don't really know what their traits are, but I think we're making a mistake by default, assigning human qualities to it. Artificial intelligence is learning how to think, and this is very interesting as well. You've heard this on the news. They're winning against chess players, they're winning at Jeopardy. They recently beat the world champion at Go, very complex game. Artificial intelligence is now into the next evolution where it's teaching itself to think. That's interesting as well. And artificial intelligence, the first thing that we think about is, well, it's probably going to be taking away the mechanical jobs. Well, the fact is, it's actually eating up a lot of the knowledge jobs. Why? Because it has an IQ of 50,000 or more. It can process information. Anything that has a process around it will fall for artificial intelligence. But there's good news. It still is far from making that genuine human connection that we all need and we all desire. It can help us figure out a lot of things. It's probably going to make language, the knowledge of languages, obsolete. It's going to help us figure out what other people are saying. McKinsey thinks it's a big deal too. I kind of pay attention when McKinsey writes reports. And they think it's going to be, before we know it, it's going to be eating up knowledge jobs. If you know how to wield the power of artificial intelligence, you essentially redefine power. Because even the smallest company can run circles around corporations because they're so nimble in interpreting all the data. It's an extremely worthwhile investment. From a top-down view, for the cost of maybe one department, you can run the same intellectual capacity as many corporations together. It's a very compelling prospect. So what does that mean? Well, artificial intelligence mostly has an impact on our skill set, our talent, and human resources. This is where we're going to be having to do most of the thinking. Who are we going to hire? What kind of skill set matters? Shortcut answer is focus on human skills. But it's not about the tech, right? It never really is. The thing is, you're already using all these technologies. It's not like they're going to try to sell you, you have to start using it to artificial intelligence now, or no. Okay, there's a picture missing. The picture that was supposed to be on here is the two logos of LinkedIn and Microsoft. Who uses Outlook here? All right. Who knows Cortana? Have you met her? Right. So, who has a LinkedIn account? Okay. So, LinkedIn and Microsoft teamed up because they felt that they could do something interesting together. So LinkedIn provides global connectivity. They're both very interested in artificial intelligence. They're going to give you access to all the big data out there. And they're very high on virtual reality. So Skype is just the first step. They're actually going to take your Outlook as a mechanism to connect with others virtually and put in our friend Cortana as an assistant to help you do that more efficiently. So you are using the technology, and they're not going to sell it to you, they're going to force it upon you, increasingly. Because the way you work with Outlook today is very different than the way you looked at it 5 years ago, and it's going to continue to evolve. These people have a plan. A lot of businesses misunderstand the role of technology. Now, one of the things is that a lot of businesses are making the mistake of putting technology in front of their customers. They think that's a very good idea. It's very efficient, right? But they're missing out on that essential objective of making that human connection, because it's all about experiences, right? The businesses that will win are those who can make good can make good human connections in a virtual world. It's going to require a new set of skills. We kind of spoke about this before. This is a very simple graph of skill sets. The horizontal axis is about automated versus human. The vertical axis is about, the added value, the complexity. And anything that's in that colored box is probably going to be kind of okay, has a future. Anything below that, and don't freak out on me here, but look, I used to be a client of a TA, and I had an asset management company. And I know when you guys really make a difference is when things go wrong. And there's a lot of human relationships and sorting trouble out, right? That's really that's where you get hired or fired in the end. So, don't misinterpret this slide, please. Anything that is process-driven, which is good news for you, is going to be automated, and it's going to have this artificial intelligence layer on it. But you're still going to need to have that human connection if you want to stand out from your competitors, because your customers still are humans. It's about creating amazing customer experiences. It's about using technology to do that. It's about, instead of like writing an email showing a face on a screen, it's about harnessing virtual reality to have meetings with people without being with them, things like that. Another picture is missing, but what we have here is a guy in a call center who basically gets to focus on the customer while the AI is feeding him with the relevant information he needs for that customer's problem or customer's issue. And on that picture as well, there's another little picture at the bottom that shows that there's this very happy customer. He says like, "Whoa, I actually got a real human connection out of this. This was very useful for me. This was a good experience." And it's all about using technology to earn relationships of trust. So the way human relationships work is they're built on trust. They're built on this kinship. And it's also usually by the transfer of knowledge. So you can actually use technology to more efficiently transfer knowledge, because in the end, we're all in the education business, whether you want or not. You always have to teach people on how you can help them solve their problems. Because if you're not solving a problem, you don't really have a business. So it really comes down to how useful can you be along the way for a customer. Technology is a great way to deliver that. You can give every single client the same kind of experience if you sequence it right. Good, so this is the new race. It's about making real human connections in the virtual world. This is the new challenge that we're all facing here. I think also, and this is what I'm going to finish on, I happen to think it's the biggest business opportunity in the world right now, and employment opportunity. Because if you're going to have 8 billion people online, all with connections and all with human desires, there's a lot of space to provide client service, to provide experiences. There's a lot of space to make special human connections. And with that kind of a universe of users, competition is going to be really not that important. How many users or clients do you need to run a profitable business? Well, if you can connect with a portion of them, then you're going to be doing fine. You can keep them in your business because you're providing them with the kind of experiences that makes them feel human and therefore brings them closer to you. That's all I wanted to say today. I wrote a little book about this. If you're interested in that, you can pick it up on my website. So it's if you go on BD Insider, you'll find you can sign up for a bunch of things, and you'll also be able to find my book on there somewhere. Thank you very much, and I hope this made sense.